Hello, America, Americans. Allah's name is five distinct identities of positive per science. That is more probable in the scientific science simultaneously. It is more practical than what is recorded with physical delusions, with tactical delusions. I'm not even a doctor. Doctors of mental health and of psychiatry, they have roles with sports professionals, all the sciences, including the theaters, where they're all hyper tactically. I mean, they're all tactically preventing short words regarding where and how. If you have if you have black pupils, you know they lie the second that someone's speaking about. They don't. eh, If they say someone's speaking bad about their country, because this is how we discern where there's the presence of criminal foreign influences. Because our founders left us to explain how they didn't have free speech and they had to pretend other. They had to pretend their motivations had been other than they were. Everyone everyone had been counter extorted. Only to an extent they could counter extort everyone and force them to roles. Getting said that we should get up the Constitution and it should say it should get unabridged, even though it was still abridged. And it should say Marbury versus Madison, which I was taught by my father. Marbury versus Madison means real justice. Real justice must satisfy all appearances of real justice. That means not making it up and pretending other. Roles countering what happened at January 6th, where it was bad because it was good and bad mixed. There was a need to protest on every location imposed by a breaching method that simultaneously measured and maintained everything that our founders were communicated for us to communicate for themselves. It was sophistication here and there before those countries that were involved with it. They were used remotely using its method that employ all kinds of methods, roles where they could use people from abroad. Since before computers and machines and all this, they could use remotely. The same people they forced, tricked, or persuaded to hurt each other and sustain that. And while they were sustaining it, they were employing the responses of it, the non-responses of it, measured and maintained as a science, as a breaching method, as one that we could discern as hyper criminal foreign influences, juxtaposed with criminal foreign influences. It knew that modern countries would have to counter. It knew that semi ancient countries would have to counter it as factored in nature, who would then defend those counters, having blamed other things, others, or selves for what the breaching method caused, knowing it would have to counter it as factored in nature. No longer with the capability of doing that because of a plan. There are proofs that ancient criminal enterprise realized it was going to get caught, a collusion between countries, but it realized it could stop itself from getting caught by doing hurting the natural relativity of the identities and of their relativity to the volume science that is the species, distinctly from how it is its individuals, distinctly from how it is grouped by that which also has is not the species but while as it, but also while as the other species with cell body, cell nucleus, cell wall, with the two other identities of sequence, lost simultaneous nature and appreciation of the two other natures of conjunction with water and its elements and gas and its elements positive or negative. There are five identities of positive that can be programmed. Allah's name, five letters. But this is about five distinct identities of positive. You say, well, that can be positive simultaneously together or not, such as the sequence true before, the finite now. So opinions and convictions could leave out the value of sequence true before the order of the republic. Nature continually demonstrates the increasing value of understanding the breaching method applied against Native Americans, and where and how difference was implied by the breaching method then to be increasingly used better than perfectly, where it's tied to every subject uses of black and white other than its science, while science is pretended simultaneously. See, we have people that pretended passions and emotions into records already. And that's what there are means recorded to discern that. Those are the means that are used by a breaching method here and there to keep them needing to hide, showing the only three branches of government in every modern country individually grouped together. See, suits and ties and counters to each other as collusions, which are clear as day. Here many play. We don't have defense of our locations, areas, and states. Manifest proofs of it. Manifest where and how the suburbs are manifest the way they are. Since before cars, before our founders were even born, before their parents, that design of suburbs, suburban homes was forced, tricked, or persuaded only fathomable by everybody. The breaching method had already been sustained. No one had free speech. All exceptions were employed to pretend other, to measure everyone, influence everyone, take a shock and awe note, to use a phrase used by MSNBC, CNN, and or Fox News during the World Trade Center attack and since, which was also effectively used to pull off roles with torture and legalizing it after it had already been used criminally for an influence before the attack. And that also relevant to where and to how all used remotely at all formal evidence reception, identity reception locations originally still our founders communicated to us to communicate for them and for ourselves about the identity theft slash fraud methods sickly distinctly against every individual, no matter how powerful a leader could get in any country, states, locations, states, and areas below them. Even though we refer to it as location states, that's what there's a word equivalent in that language. Even the difference of the languages. Now it is self-valued that we have different languages. I mean, that difference is self-valued on opposite to how it would be self-valued if we were self-valuing roles with identities of value progression as a positive value nature progression. The breaching method employed self-valued roles with the causes of humanity in a negative identity of value progression, and the causes of it blamed on other things, others ourselves, as roles with it, and making more real reasons to blame things on. But even that used to screen what really has worse roles with fentanyl, even if they made it up. It's recorded, involved, the news media recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed distinctly from the people who answer their phones. Their influence to change what people say, fabricate conversations with them, fabricate audio and video transcripts into databases. People, there are families that call police stations, have people unconnected because of live progression, because of uses of remotely of people's sense and sensibilities relative to uses of that already having been at other locations exploited too. So then they have to hide things at both locations and the relativity of it in the future increasingly. The investigations and investigators and the locations tied to them, including their homes, one's next to their homes, one's next to their friends' homes. The difference of laws relative to the people living next to schools and relative to people who aren't next to schools. Uses of that already recorded criminally foreign influence, tactically delusions raw. They've been getting away with it because of how all the private ties to the interbranch in them, with overt criminal enterprises, private ones, their worst patients and criminals and their family members, all kept needing to hide the same lie progressions, kept roles with the same predicate acts methods that never had where and how they could use all investigators in the all formal campuses and database ties to them to effectively use them remotely, showing them preemptively where they need to hide things from the past, showing them where actively at the same time, and where to come they're going to have to hide and from things from the past. By using all their roles with all formal and informal evidence perception, same names with overt criminal enterprises, private name stacking against Americans on a mass scale. People say, "Oh, this person's pretending everyone else is evil," because how everyone speaks through others, and that's forced when investigations and investigators, and where how overt criminal enterprises and private ones take control of subjects at locations simply distinctly from how they do it at interbranch locations, consciously to leave out finite details to make them up, to hide how that is being and having been done. Vaccine is fallen one way, many pray. So the delusions when they use words like extremism, they have people calling each other extremists now. They go, "Oh, this person's has an ego," or "This person's," using psychology's words. They had criminally foreign influence takes on reality, tactically delusions, rock, criminally foreign influence uses of their locations involved with their logic. Since founding, their identity theft, fraud, slander roles with totally distinct natures of organized crime and of totally distinct organized crime bodies, where each age of their fact sheeping natures, with each age of the campuses, are collusions against which age is being, which each age is actually being demonstrated to by nature itself. It gives each age a different kind of strength and weakness to focus on it. But this has been converted to where to roles with this breaching method and pretending other for it. That's one of the worst things. That's one of those things that effectively most furthers the worst criminally foreign influence things and uses of them in each of our countries, like borders. There's so much space in our countries, no one would even notice. We'd go like that, and people would be happy. In other words, with the condition, with the accommodations given them for humanity to get out of this rat trap that put modern countries into, and that's part of what locks powerful countries. They have problems with their borders because that nature of power, that nature of might, is a criminal insidiousness nature of it. Their uses of their names, modern countries, A through Z, it's tactical ulterior from how we are individual, grouped, and species body of volume. And that's measured and maintained. Self value suits its highest counters. So, YouTuber Anthony Wall, thank you. Vaccine. I teach us things. Species body longs to shed a box. Thank you. Some rest. I tell best.